Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? The time is always right to do what is right. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. I look to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. If a man has not discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. We are not makers of history. We are made by history. He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. Whatever affects one directly, affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality. Whatever your life's work is, do it well. A man should do his job so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. Everything that we see is a shadow cast by that which we do not see. Man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. The quality, not the longevity, of one's life is what is important. Almost always, the creative, dedicated minority has made the world better. Never succumb to the temptation of bitterness. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for that which is right. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for justice. A man dies when he refuses to take a stand for that which is true. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit together at the table of brotherhood. History will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual doom. We are to go forward. We must go back and rediscover those precious values that all reality hinges on moral foundations and that all reality has spiritual control. The art of acceptance is the art of making someone who has just done you a small favor wish that he might have done you a greater one. Property is intended to serve life, and no matter how much we surround it with rights and respect, it has no personal being. It is part of the earth man walks on. It is not man. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men. That old law about an eye for an eye leaves everybody blind. The time is always right to do the right thing. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. I am not interested in power for power's sake, but I'm interested in power that is moral, that is right, and that is good. We must build dikes of courage to hold back the flood of fear. Never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany was legal. There can be no deep disappointment where there is not deep love. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance and should be undertaken with painstaking excellence. Peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. Human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. Means we use must be as pure as the ends we seek. It may be true that the law cannot make a man love me, but it can keep him from lynching me, and I think that's pretty important. Seeing is not always believing. Law and order exist for the purpose of establishing justice, and when they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously structured dams that block the flow of social progress. Nonviolence is a powerful and just weapon, which cuts without wounding and ennobles the man who wields it. It is a sword that heals. We must concentrate not merely on the negative expulsion of war, but the positive affirmation of peace. All progress is precarious, And the solution of one problem brings us face to face with another problem. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Nonviolence means avoiding not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of spirit. You not only refuse to shoot a man, but you refuse to hate him. When you are right, you cannot be too radical. When you are wrong, you cannot be too conservative. Wars are poor chisels for carving out peaceful tomorrows. Philanthropy is commendable, but it must not cause the philanthropist to overlook the circumstances of economic injustice which make philanthropy necessary. The Negro needs the white man to free him from his fears. The white man needs the Negro to free him from his guilt. The question is not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists we will be. The nation and the world are in dire need of creative extremists. There is nothing more tragic than to find an individual bogged down in the length of life, devoid of breadth. If I wish to compose or write or pray or preach well, I must be angry. Then all the blood in my veins is stirred, and my understanding is sharpened. The past is prophetic in that it asserts loudly that wars are poor chisels for carving out peaceful tomorrows. Don't let anybody make you think God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. To other countries, I may go as a tourist, but to India, I come as a pilgrim. A right delayed is a right denied. There comes a time when people get tired of being pushed out of the glittering sunlight of life's July and left standing amid the piercing chill of an alpine November. At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love. The moral arc of the universe bends at the elbow of justice. Oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever. The yearning for freedom eventually manifests itself. If physical death is the price that I must pay to free my white brothers and sisters from a permanent death of the spirit, then nothing can be more redemptive. It is not enough to say we must not wage war. It is necessary to love peace and sacrifice for it. The hope of a secure and livable world lies with disciplined nonconformists who are dedicated to justice, peace, and brotherhood. War is a poor chisel to carve out tomorrow. Science investigates. Religion interprets. Science gives man knowledge, which is power. Religion gives man wisdom, which is control. We who engage in nonviolent direct action are not the creators of tension. We merely bring to the surface the hidden tension that is already alive. One of the greatest casualties of the war in Vietnam is the Great Society, shot down on the battlefield of Vietnam. The principle of self-defense, even involving weapons and bloodshed, has never been condemned, even by Gandhi. The sweltering summer, the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. It is incontestable and deplorable that Negroes have committed crimes, but they are derivative crimes. They are born of the greater crimes of the white society. Nonviolence is a powerful and just weapon. Indeed, it is a weapon unique in history, which cuts without wounding and ennobles the man who wields it. A nation or civilization that continues to produce soft-minded men purchases its own spiritual death on the installment plan.